So welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence third Thursday call. I'm Noelle Marshall, and I'm here with my beloved light partner. That's what that says, serving our one sacred life. I'm here with my beloved light partner, Bob Warner. This is February 25th, 2021, and we are in for a real treat tonight. For those who aren't familiar, the Co-Creators Convergence is a Barbara Marx Hubbard legacy group. And what we do is we gather every Thursday night. We also gather on Facebook. We gather in person also, usually at Sunrise Ranch, except when there's COVID. And so we're gathering every Thursday night, and we allow people to bring their gifts to the shift in humanity, as Barbara would always say. So what I want to do now is I'm going to turn this over to Fairy Elaine Silver, who was our guest a few weeks back. And how we work Thursday, every Thursday, we have a guest and we invite that guest to pay it forward and bring another guest to share their gifts to the shift in humanity. So Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver, with a beautiful voice, she serenaded us and we had just a wonderful time. And she is bringing our dear friend, Shelley Darling. So Shelley, I'm going to turn it over. Actually, I'm going to turn it over to Elaine, who is going to introduce you. So Elaine.
So Shelley is a dear friend of mine. She has lived with me many times in my fairy house in Sarasota. And tonight she's leading a discussion talking about the title is Where Eagles Fly, Singing the Hoop of Many Hoops. So it sounds pretty interesting, Shelley. And I want to quote her. Together we are laying the groundwork for a new future. The legacy of colonialism and enslavement of our old constricting beliefs are now being brought to the surface of our collective awareness. Isn't that the truth? Transparency of stories deeply buried are now rising to be embraced, healed, and set free. Let's bring our hoop of truth to the center this evening, discovering the power of inner and outer truth and reconciliation, end quote. And Shelley is a heart resonance mentor. She guides individuals and groups in navigating change in these much needed times of whole systems transformation. You're going to have to let us know what that means, Shelley. Okay. She's an international speaker and an evolutionary dowsing mentor. Her passion in assisting people in embodying and expressing their fullest potential while living their evolutionary purpose. She is the co-founder of Good of the Whole and Loving Waters, and founder of Evolutionary Dowsing and the Sacred Evolutionary Dowsing Consortium. And Shelley got our house sold. We were selling a house in Sarasota. It wasn't selling, and she did her magic, and a couple months later it sold. And she says here, after 13 years of following the sun, she usually comes to Florida in the winter. Well, she's up in Maine in the winter, and her backyard is a river. And she's focusing on completing her book, and she's working on her film. And it's a film that takes place in Maine. So I'm going to hand it over to Shelley. There you go, Shelley.
Thank you, Elaine. Wow. So welcome, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. This is an incredible opportunity for me to a reunion with a part of my family that began in 2011, where I first met Bob and Noelle and so many of you, as well as the extended family that's been growing over the years in the Co-Creators Convergence. So I'm excited to be back here. And tonight is a little bit different for me. Most of you, it's true, know me as a dowser or co-founder of Good of the Whole. And many of you have been in and out of the connection field this year during COVID. But tonight it's a little bit different. And you're gonna see me read some notes because I'm not an expert at this, but I have been impassioned since coming back to Maine, to really understand more deeply the relationship between who we are and the land and the rivers that we're connected to and the First Nation people. So tonight we're going to have an opportunity to go deeper into both an inner and an outer truth and reconciliation. How does that actually happen? And I'm going to tell you a little story, but I'm going to start with gratitude for Fairy Elaine, who brought me here tonight, and Bob and Noelle and all of you. So something magical happened tonight, later this afternoon. Before I was coming here, I knew I needed to call my mom. She's about 88 years old, and to be 89 next month, or beginning of April. And I called her just to connect with her. But what ended up happening was something incredibly synchronistic. And I'll tell this story, and then we're going to just open this call with some heart resonance. And Daniel and Alda, who are joining me tonight from Arizona, Daniel will open the call with the 4 directions. Grandmother Ia is trying to get on, so keep an eye out for her, Bob. And I'll share more about them as we get into this evening. But what happened was my mom told me that she was still in her pajamas at like 3 o'clock. And I'm like, why are you in bed in your nightgown? She said, because I'm studying, I have a racism class tonight. I know, a racism, it's a book club. And I mean, here she is, 88 years old. I'm like, oh, what? And she said, I have a racism book club, and I don't remember it so good anymore. So I need to read the whole thing before we start tonight. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. How fascinating. And she told me that they're studying the story of racism, and it's stamped from the beginning, the definitive history of racist ideas in America. And so she gets together with and she said, I'm the oldest one there. I get together with so many younger people, and they're studying this book. And then she told me a story, and the story went like this. She said, Shelley, this is so, I don't really understand this. I didn't come from a world. I came so protected, and everyone, Blacks and all different races, colors, were my friends. And I grew up in a high school that none of this was happening in my little town of Providence. And she told me this story. She said, you remember the story of what happened when I went to visit my roommate in college? And I'm like, no. And she tells me this story. And she said she's on the train and she's really excited to be going. But on the train, as the train is stopping and they go different places, she's going to Virginia. She notices that the bathrooms have a different bathroom for the Blacks and a different bathroom for the whites. And she couldn't understand this. And she gets to Virginia, and she gets to her roommate's house, and they're having a big dinner. But as she gets in, she's needing to know what is going on. And so she starts to head into the kitchen to talk to the chefs and the maids. She wants to talk to them to say, what is this? And she said she felt this really hard hand grabbing her shoulder to tell her, no, we don't do that here. We don't talk to the help. And so what an amazing synchronicity for tonight's call, to just open that space. And I also grew up in a world like that too. I didn't know that. We had, the women who helped us in our household were our friends, family members. Even with my daughter in California, all of the Mexican help were her friends, and they were family together. So tonight we're just going to open this up, and I'm going to show a video. And Daniel and Alda, who's an incredible grandfather and just such a community friend to Good of the Whole and the Connection Field, and Alda, who has just been lighting my fire with her passion and her love, and they'll express who they are. And Grandmother Ia from St. Croix, hopefully she made it on here. Oh, there you are. Great. So good. So we're all here. So thank you all for coming, and welcome to you on Facebook Live. All right. So if you know anything about me, always start with a heart resonance. And a heart resonance is a little bit different than a visualization or a regular type meditation. It's an opportunity to actually come in relationship, in a feeling relationship with the field with the quantum field itself. And the beauty of this field is that its innate essence is that it unifies. And so when we come together in this experience, and we'll just take a few minutes, and just the invitation, and for all of you on Facebook as well, just take a moment, close your eyes, and really be willing, even with what I've just shared, to let go of mass consciousness, to just be willing to soften your body and drop deeper into your heart. And take a couple of expansive cleansing breaths and just let yourself, every exhale just allows you to drop deeper like that infinity pool. And simply what we're doing is we're connecting with the waters that connect us all, this intelligent force of life. Water has no boundary. It permeates everything, nourishes everything. And so we're just opening to the field, connecting with that vibrational frequency of love. And in that, just being willing to take a pause as we begin here tonight, acknowledging and holding great gratitude for how you're showing up. And as you breathe and you connect with this chamber of the heart, just feel down into the roots of the mother. Feel her holding you. Feel that love. And as we're breathing, we open our awareness like the branches of our tree. We are the tree of life. We open to receive the information from the field itself. How is it informing each one of us and tonight as a collective? And together we create this listening field where within the deepest reverence, we feel that connection with our individual and collective soul design. And we feel that rippling out through this honoring of the web of life. And as we come together as spheres of wholeness, we bring our light and love to the center of this beautiful evening together. And with that, just very gently opening your eyes, taking a peek around. And so tonight, we're holding the vision of where the eagles fly. And I'll explain more about that after Daniel opens with the 4 directions. And tonight, hold yourself, just like in the sacred geometry of all life, the Vesica Pisces, as they come together, these hoop of many hoops, because that's what we're coming tonight together, to be in shared vision, to create a safe space. And safe is really the key word, where the wisdom, oh my God, a ladybug just flew on my screen. That's funny. Where we create a shared vision and we honor the indigenous wisdom as it comes together with evolutionary consciousness, really birthing this way of living that allows all to live in greater peace and harmony and love. So with that, Daniel would love for you to open this call.
Greetings, family. I'm Daniel Ramos Cuautli out Eagle Warrior. My beloved and I are from the Choctaw Muskogee Yamasee Nation, the tribe nation. We're the Rainbow Tribe, prophecy of the rainbow. And here we are in that sense, and invited and very humbled to be in this present circle of fire, the council fire of elders, aunties and uncles and grandfathers and grandmothers. Doesn't matter what age you are, it what lies within you. And I recognize that in a humble, humble way. So in the gatherings that we have and have been held and honored by this beautiful sister, represents all the sacred feminine, Shelley, to open the circle for sharing heart. We don't do the talking anymore. We share heart. And in this way, I open with the 4 directions. In the traditional ways that we do so, we start in the east where the sun rises, and we move around the seasons. And those being what they are, I'll share that way in a good way and open our circle for our heart dialogue. Oh. Hey, 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 Yam Deva. Hey, 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 Yam Deva. 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 Yam Deva, Yam Deva. That was the direction of the east where the eagles fly. And the sun rises in the beginning of life and all good things, new beginnings. We all begin our walks on a day ways and in a life ways, and all these things will come. The place of infancy, of pureness, of pure-heartedness, and pure-mindedness. And doing so, this song, that of the Chumash Nation in California, known as the ancestor song or the dolphin song. And if you know it, please sing along. Moving to the south, there is direction of the wolf. And in the wolf direction, we learn about community, about the strength of family, and the strengths of knowing what we need and how we get what we need, not just want. And we come together in a good way. But it's also the season, as east is at the season of the springtime. South is the season of the summertime, when we're planting our seeds of life. We're gaining knowledge in our young adolescence in all these ways. So we sing that song of the ancestors to bring them in from the south. Hey, 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 young Deva. Hey, 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 young Deva. Hey, 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 young Deva. Hey, 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 young Deva. Hey, hey, young Deva. Hey, hey, young Deva. Young Deva, young Deva. Oh, now we move to the direction of the west. The west is Tatonka time in Lakota, which is my teachings. It is the buffalo time. The time when with the Anishinaabe and the Ojibwe, buffalo represents total respect, self-sacrificing self to make sure that we as a peoples, a two-legged, still survive amidst all of life's challenges, and do so with the heart of the buffalo, the Tatonka, with our ways. The white buffalo reigns in this way to show us that there's this time of now that we are in to pay attention to the things that we're doing, because not all is right, and we must right those things. That also being the harvest time, the fall time in our life, and when we become adults, raised our families, we now are harvesting what it is that we put into life. Hopefully it's a good thing in a good way, and we put these things away for the time that's coming. Oh, hey, 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 young Deva. Hey, 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 young Deva. Hey, 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 young Deva. 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 Young Deva, young Deva. Now for the direction of the north. There's a time when the blanket of white covers Mother Earth in many of our places. We are in expressing and experiencing them now, especially out in the far eastern, northeastern parts of the Turtle Island that we're on. And in that way, this is the elder time of the ancestors, those that are living in the camp of the other side, as we say. And in that way, you know, we come together, the veil being lifted, no more veil. The ancestors walk with us today, and in our prayers, we tell each other, walk as though you got 80,000 ancestors walking with you. Fear not, but love mostly, and all these things. We come together, and that is a time of bear, when bear goes to the inner place, reflection time, hibernation, to see what it is that we do, not only in the past, but how we become out in the better ways of being the better human beings, the better human doings in the next 4 seasons of what will come. And in this way, we honor the direction of the North. Oh, hey, 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 young Deva. Hey, 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 young Deva. Hey, 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 young Deva. Hey, 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 young Deva. Hey, 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 young Deva. Hey, 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 young Deva. Young Deva, young Deva. Oh, Ramya, Shonabish, Tasakamatli. Lamia, thank you for letting us share the opening for the directions, calling in the helpers and the workers and all the guides from all the heavenly realms and the heavenly forces and all that join us today to bring with them all the blessings, all the wisdom, not only of the indigenous people, but indigenous creation upon which it is that we live and breathe together with. Oh, Matakias. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, Daniel. And we'll hear more from Daniel and Alda after this. So you might ask, what is a white girl like me offering something like this tonight? And I have to say it that way because that's the way I held it in me for quite a long time. And just a little bit of a story, and then we're gonna watch a video. And it's just a 2-minute trailer, but it will feed to the center of this oceanic spiral that we're in tonight. And where to begin? So Elaine mentioned that I've been working on a movie, and it's true, about 4.5 years and still going. But what happened is that I began a journey, and part of that journey was also involved with the co-creators Convergence, where when the very first year of the co-creators Convergence, we did a process. And in that process, with Victoria and Ron Friedman, I was the one who felt completely estranged from what I was sharing. And what I realized was that I didn't know what intimacy was. I didn't have that relationship with myself. And as a Sagittarius, triple Sagittarius, my life was always just skimming and running over. And from the co-creators Convergence began a 5-year journey, which actually was part of this evolution of this movie. And really simply, because I want everyone to participate tonight. It's really important. It's part of this experiential gathering, is that I ended up, 7 dreams led me to a place in Maine. And as I unfolded that experience and came back, something quite miraculous happened. And there was the unearthing of a phenomenal historic legacy. Everything in my dream was actually literally physically buildings, what happened. I mean, it was just amazing. And it led me to the most important piece tonight, which was to an indigenous holy medicine woman of the 1700s. And through this relationship with her, I ended up coming to Maine quite a bit. And she's been guiding the movie. And every summer I would come back to Maine. And this summer, I was guided, like, you are not leaving until this movie and this book that you're writing are done. And so I came back here, and the important piece was on this last part of the 4.5 years, it was only like 2 months ago, where I discovered something that I had no idea about. And that was that Maine has literally the only Truth and Reconciliation Commission in the entire of Turtle Island. And as I began to understand more of what that was, so it was where the main state child welfare and the Wabanakis came together, created a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to basically unearth the truth of what was going on. And why was it that in Maine and so many places that we know was the children were being taken out of their homes at a rate of 5 times more than any other person, any other child. So with that drew me in, and the thing that I discovered was it's the same timeline as the movie. And I knew that I came back to make sure that this information was put into the movie. And with that, somehow my passion grew, and Ia and Daniel and myself and Alda, we've been coming together, and the Hoop of Many Hoops, which is an actual program inside, and it's being developed more inside of the connection field of Good of the Whole, has begun to grow. Because in truth, we all need to become aware of where we're living and who were those first people, and that we are living on that land, and how do we do land acknowledgements, and possibly by some miraculous pathway, there become more and more Truth and Reconciliation Commissions happening in every single state. So that's what opened this up to me. And so I'm not an expert, but what I want to do is show you this movie and the trailer for this movie. It's called Dawnland. And I'm just going to read a few things just so that it orients you, okay? So, so obviously for decades, child welfare authorities have been removing Native American children from their homes. And the other piece is, the focus of this movie is, what's the relationship of the children being taken out of their homes and the acquiring of the land? And this is a very powerful piece. So basically, in this movie, it's called it's the Upstander Project. It's an Emmy awarding winning documentary, goes behind the scenes as a historic body grapples with difficult truths, redefines reconciliation, and charts a new course for the state and tribal relations. And I'm not going to read anymore. So basically, what ended up happening was, of course, after 5 years, they were able to file reports, and it's the only state where the actual government got involved, and now are saying we can't keep this a secret anymore. So with that, take a breath, and we're going to have an opportunity to go deeper, and Ia and Alda are going to share, and Daniel, and set the tone. And so we all have to go like, well, what does this have to do with us? Why do we need to know this? So we're going to just watch this little trailer to open it up.
Would
you like to come up to the witness stand?
They went into my home and picked up my children and placed them in a foster home.
This country had official policy to remove Native children from their homes and place them with white families so that they would learn how to be white.
But we're still here. And many of our people have never, ever shared their stories.
Imagine being torn away from your parents and community.
I remember the station wagon pulling up.
Never talked about it in therapy. I played video games.
Maine has become the first state in the nation to form a Truth and Reconciliation Commission focusing on child welfare.
The truth hurts. The truth is very painful.
How come it took so long for you all to get a group together to see if they can help us? You can't heal someone that's gone through hell.
Usually, when a truth commission happens, there's a great deal of unrest in the society that's surrounding it. And here, the dominant culture is largely unaware.
People are saying, no, this is not genocide. Genocide is what happened at Auschwitz.
The reality is it's been the attack of our culture, it's been the attempt to remove our culture, and you replace it with nothing.
What happened to my aunts, my grandparents and all that? It's still happening.
Tell me about your employment in state child welfare.
The judges didn't figure this was anything we had to do much about.
For the longest time, I was really afraid to even say that I was Indian.
You don't take 500 years of mistrust and wash it away with one commission.
I'm not sure where we're going to be able to gain your trust.
By all intents and purposes, you represent the perpetrator. White privilege is not something I can get rid of. I think my obligation is to harness it.
Holy Michigan.
I never would have thought the state of Maine would ever engage with the Wabanaki on this level. We see it as something very deep, a necessary transition from being an occupier to being a neighbor.
So let's take a breath with that, because let's just take a breath. So the beauty of being here tonight is that we are evolutionary voices. We are the ones that are coming together to make change. And that the beauty of this film, and I totally encourage you to watch the whole thing, it's incredible, is that with this film comes a curriculum, because their goal is to get this into the school curriculums. There's a whole curriculum, there's education for teachers. They're the right questions, and we're not going to do any of that tonight, but that what they felt was, so the Wabanaki, the name for the Wabanaki is the Dawnlanders. And that means the people of the first light. And what they felt was New England and Maine is where that first light, as the earth makes a turn, is where the first light is on Turtle Island. And they felt that this was a, not a prophecy, but that it was an indication that this would move now across the country. And there's way more to this, but they're educating people. And tonight we just get a chance to come in and go deeper with each other. Because the thing that I realized in my exploration is that reconciliation has to happen in here first. And that's been really challenging. But with Ia's help and Daniel's help and Alda's help and all the other elders that are coming together to be living in the 8th prophecy. We are in the 8th prophecy, which is the eternal time of peace. So with that, I'm going to give you a gallery view here. And I'm going to invite Daniel to share a little bit. Then we're going to have a song from and then Ia and Alda will share, and then we're going to open it up to everyone. And we'll go for like, I think it's, I have to figure it out, but like 15 minutes. And then we'll have another song, and then we'll open it up again so that we can go deeper and allow this love, this undefined love, to bring us into this space of really exalted connection, knowing that however you have, whatever experience you have tonight, that it will be taken forth in everything that you do, in every community that you're involved in, because this is at the heart of creation, this love. So with that, Daniel, if you want to share, and then Fairy Elaine will sing a song. And if we can keep it to like 5 minutes, and then we'll make sure that everyone's going to have a chance to really bring their voice forward.
Thank you so very much. But as even though I may follow tradition, some traditional ways, one of the things that you should know about me, family, and I call you family because we are, is that I'm also very untraditional. And if anything, that spirit is what leads me. And so with that, I say this, I share this with you, because as Shelley was speaking, I don't call her Shelley very often, but as she was, for the sake of time, as we are having, the spirit was speaking to, it's time for the granddaughter, the great-granddaughter of these people to speak, as well as the voice and the heart of the sacred feminine, sacred woman of our white buffalo prophecies, of which I may be able to share later. But if I may, Shelley, if that's okay, I would love, and I believe the Spirit says that Alda needs to share. It's the granddaughter of these people from that part of the world on Turtle Island. It's important to continue the bridge building, connecting. That's okay. Oh,
I totally, and then Ia will follow. Let Ia follow, and then we'll open it up. And in that second run, and again, we're here till 9:30 Eastern, so we're just kind of want to make sure everyone's getting to play a part tonight. So thank you.
Well, just my ancestry, especially my father's side, is from Maine, past Passamaquoddy, and I'm so thrilled. Shelley brought this film to my attention, and so I got to watch it and loved it, and it means so much to me that the Maine government has gotten involved, and there's truth and reconciliation. That's foundational to healing. We have to know the truth. If you're living out of a lie, you're not living in reality, and you're not making decisions. And you're not making decisions, you're not building on a firm foundation. You're not building on reality. I know that a lot of people feel like the past should stay in the past, but it does affect the future. And I can understand saying I had nothing to do with that. And I would not want to stir up guilt. That's not a part of truth and reconciliation. But it's such an important part of moving forward. It's such an important part of embracing each other, of living in community, of accepting otherness, of learning. Just learning how people got to where they are. It's so much easier to understand where they're coming from if you know how they got there. And it gives me hope. It makes me feel good. These are stories that I didn't know, that I hadn't heard of before. So to hear of the solution at the same time that I'm finding out of what happened, I knew such things happened in other parts of the country. I didn't think it happened in New England. And the gratitude for the survival of the traditions, how much of the traditions and the songs and the languages did survive, the gratitude for that, the gratitude for the people that held on to the ways, because it was about living in integration with nature. It was being part of it. The systems and the traditions were for so all of creation could thrive. It was part of maintaining and caretaking nature and your surroundings. And because that knowledge survived, in taking over the country, a lot of that was lost in taking over land and trying to make Native people white. A lot of that was lost, but enough survived that we can refer to it now. Organizations like Pioneers are going to Indigenous people to find out ways to live sustainably, ways to live in harmony with the planet. And so I'm grateful for those things. It's leading the way. Those roots are still there. That connection, understanding that being connected to nature is a part of us. We can't thrive without that. Has been foundational to Indigenous people all over the planet. It's something that we've understood all over the planet and are finding our way back to that. But just going back to truth and reconciliation, it warms my heart to know that it's taking place, and I hope that it moves across the country. I hope that it moves across the country in the way that settlers did, and thrived in the way that they did, and is welcomed, because that's what's required. It will not fix everything in a heartbeat, but it will certainly build a foundation so that we can live together, so that we can maintain our own cultures, but in a connected way, so that we can share them joyfully, so that we can have traditionalists and not so traditionalists. But I think traditions are important. But we all lived together on the same planet with our separate cultures before. It's just when we started moving into each other's areas, things got contentious. Things get contentious on borderlines. So we make an effort not to do that. That's no longer necessary for survival and safety, and we find our way to survival and safety. It's got to be based in truth. It's got to be based in reality and an acknowledgement, a respect of each other's cultures and needs, with an acknowledgement of the passage of time, and things do change and evolve as things go. Bit long-winded, but that's what I have to say. That's my take. Thank you.
Alda. And I'm going to shift things around a little bit. So Ia, bear with me, Grandmother Ia. I'm going to invite Fairy Elaine to bring a song in. And then we're going to open it up to everyone, because we've gone on way longer than I thought we were going to start with. So let's do that. And then Ia will come in after we open it up to everybody. And because, this is an emotional thing, and we do need to, have an opportunity to express and move things and share both our sorrow and need for forgiveness and our opportunity to really see and envision a future for all. So with that, perfect. Bring it over to Fairy Elaine.
Okay, I wanted to thank Alda and Danielle, and Alda, that really touched me, and I changed my mind what song I'm going to do. So this one goes so much with what Alda had to say, and it's called Mother, Mother Nature. Mother, Mother Nature, you are the ground we walk upon. Mother, Mother Nature, you are the air we breathe. Mother, Mother Nature, your fire warms my heart and soul. Mother, Mother Nature, your waters bring me peace. Bring me peace, bring me peace, bring me peace. Bring me peace, bring me peace, bring me peace. Bring me peace, bring me peace, bring me peace. Your waters bring me peace. It's up to us to build the will. Communication is the skill. Cooperation brings goodwill. Let's keep the earth fulfilled, and let's keep each other fulfilled. Mother, Mother Nature, you are the ground we walk upon. Mother, Mother Nature, you are the air we breathe. Mother, Mother Nature, your fire warms my heart and soul. Mother, Mother Nature, your waters bring me peace. We are microcosms of the planet Earth. Deep within her essence is our sacred worth. We are microcosms of the universe, and the Spirit brings us peace. Mother, Mother Nature, you are the ground we walk upon. Mother, Mother Nature, you are the air we breathe. Mother, Mother Nature, your fire warms my heart and soul. Mother, Mother Nature, your waters bring me peace, bring me peace, bring me peace, bring me peace. Bring me peace, bring me peace, bring me peace. Bring me peace, bring me peace, bring me peace. Mother Nature, bring me peace. And so it is.
Woo! All right, thank you. Okay. So we're going to open it up to everyone, and then we'll give Ia a chance to come in and share. And with that, I just one request, and I should have started it this way, and I didn't. So the invitation is when you take yourself off mute to share your name and either a river or the watershed that you're standing on or next to. And if you know the first people that lived on the land, then bring them in too, because we want to honor those ancestors. And so my name is Shelley Darling. I'm here in Brunswick, Maine. Actually, Pajibscot, Maine. It was the original name of this town, and there's a beautiful story that goes with that. And I'm about 20 feet outside a front the Androscoggin River, which leads, the lower end is called the Pajibscot River, and it was and still is the home of the Abenaki and Wabanaki tribes. So just, I hand it over, and feel free to just to bring in your voice and bring that in. The floor is open, and if we keep it to 1 to 2 minutes, and everyone will have a chance to share, and then we'll pass it over to Grandmother Ia to take us deeper.
I'd like to share. I'm Sharon Raji Maynard. I'm on Whidbey Island up in the Pacific Northwest. We had many members here, the Lower Skagit, the Squamish, the Snohomish tribes. And I am, of course, right in the midst of the Puget Sound, close to the Pacific Ocean. And I've known for a very long time that my roots go back to an indigenous, and I didn't know what that meant because I had lost identity at all. I had no identity of that community until very recently. And I began calling myself a Celtic American because I knew I was. And it had been my good fortune to have a teacher recently from Glastonbury, from the Galactic tribes, start to talk and tell and share our story and our traditions and our skills and abilities and who we are and what we've lost, etc. It's like like's been said, it's everywhere. But what's touching for me today is that the return of ourselves to the earth, recognizing that the earth and I are one, is being sought in my tradition, my Celtic traditions. And I can be so supportive of what is being said here. I have had great pain. I've known about what's been happening and happened for so long to Indigenous tribes. And so I really applaud what you're doing. I'm going to certainly watch and share the movie. I appreciate the time tonight. Thank you, Shelley.
My name is Elsie Ritzenheim. I'm in Michigan currently. I grew up in Ohio, in Southern Ohio, on the western edge of the Appalachians. Where I am now, the watershed, I'm about a half hour from the watershed that goes from Lake Huron down through the St. Clair River through the Detroit River. I live about 40 miles northwest of Detroit, through the Detroit River, through Lake St. Clair, the Detroit River, and into Lake Erie. So it's a fairly impressive watershed. And of course, the Great Lakes surround Michigan. I do not know exactly which tribes were here, but I do know that I worked for 25 years in a school district. I'm a former educator, where every school was named after an Indian tribe. So, and the name of the district was Chippewa Valley Schools. And we had an Ottawa Elementary and an Ojibwa Elementary, and the high school football team were the Big Reds. And they celebrated, the Native heritage in this area. I am the great-granddaughter. One of my great-grandmothers is a full-blooded Cherokee who lived in West Virginia. And some of you know this story. I won't go into great detail, but my grandmother was a fascinating woman, and I knew her from when she came to visit when I grew up in Ohio. And my grandmother is here tonight. She comes when I'm involved in these kinds of dialogues and kinds of experiences. And she comes and she holds my hand and stands next to me on one side. And my totem animal is a tiger, and the tiger comes and stays on the other side. So Grandma is here. She's pleased with what I've done. She's come to me through a friend who does readings for me. She protects. She is sort of my mentor in a way, and I honor her in my life as much as I possibly can. Thank you, Shelley, for this. It's been a wonderful experience.
This is Diane Browsey, and I grew up in Ohio, right where the crest line happened between the water running north to Lake Erie and the running south, which eventually became the Mississippi, Ohio and Mississippi rivers. And I grew up on a farm in land that had, I knew the tradition that the native people actually owned my land or took care of my land since I was a very small child. And that was very important to me. And I think made an impact on my life all the way through. After college, I decided to become a Peace Corps volunteer, and I got sent to the Dominican Republic in the North Shore near where one of the Columbus expeditions had landed. And one day I was walking a land where a road was being put in, and there were artifacts from the native people there. And I was just walking around looking and seeing shards of various things and all. And a young Dominican boy came up to me and said, "Here, do you want this?" And it was a skull of a human being, probably a native person who was, if not directly, at least indirectly involved in the slaughter of the first peoples in America, where Columbus came. And within 60 years, the indigenous people of the Dominican Republic were all massacred and killed, not necessarily overtly, but they were put to mining for gold because that's what Columbus and his son Don Diego were looking for. If you didn't bring in your annual or your monthly allotment of gold, your hands were cut off. So many, of course, lost their lives from starvation in that kind of a way. And I I respectfully declined taking the head as a whatever it was being given for, and felt quite connected to the indigenous people who had, you know, one of the first interactions with the white colonial powers in our continent. So I've had lots of other experiences around those kinds of things, but that one was the one that came to mind tonight. So thank you.
My name is Flo. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, on Lake Michigan, the Great Lakes watersheds. Was originally the land of the Algonquin, and the name Chicago is kind of a massacred name of Chicago, given by the Miami tribe. And I am asking for forgiveness for my white privilege and my ignorance. And I'm so sorry that people who took such great care of our nature were pushed aside for people who really didn't care. And I'm sorry.
I'm Marianne, and I'm in Sarasota, Florida, which is the home of the Calusas, and I live in the Gulf area and have spent time on little bridgeless barrier islands where Native Americans would have their shell middens, and I've seen the shell middens, and those have been preserved, but there's no one around anymore that, you know, speaks from the Calusa tribe. And we're trying to get back to that, I think, as environmentalists. Right today, we just finished a grant application, which was asking the question, how improving the lives of birds benefit our lives. And so it's really an effort to tie back again our connection with the planet and with the animals. So we're all striving that way as environmentalists back to where we were. And I thank the Native Americans for giving us that legacy.
So we'll take one. Oh. Who's good? I'm sorry.
Was someone good to speak?
I can speak. This is Talia Powell. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And it's the Rio Grande is my river, my watershed. Grateful, so grateful for that water. And when the rains come, so grateful for the rains, filling the river, filling our lands.
Your turn to talk.
The Pueblo Indians are the ones that are around in our area, which came from the Anastasi, many years ago, who lived in the ancient pueblos, or the ancient communities. And this, I guess the story goes that the Anastasi found for some reason, whether it was that they couldn't take care of themselves, that they, on the land that they were on, they had to go out, they had to be nomads for a while and find their place. And they ended up, many of them along the Rio Grande, because the water was there. And many of these pueblos I've come to know through just people who have ancestors there, but mainly the Jemez Pueblo, who I see Karen Hefferman is here, who lives right near that land in Jemez Springs, and the Pueblo Indians who came up around the Jemez. So I don't know. I felt a turn, I'm grateful for that. The turn toward asking forgiveness for the directions we've taken away from this love of the land, and I want to declare that turn as a major event, and I'm grateful for that, and feeling that need to forgive. Please forgive us for going that direction away from the truth of this way that the Indigenous had seen, and also for the gratitude in that that there was that way shown to us by the early people, by the Indigenous people, and that we may find a new way to go forward through that process, through our gratitude, through our asking for forgiveness and moving on.
Hi, I'm Noelle Marshall, and I was born next to the Potomac watershed in Washington, D.C. I recently, Bob and I moved to Bristol, Tennessee, next to miles from the Cherokee National Park. And we made it a priority to find out about the land here. And at the end of our emails, we actually have a tagline saying that we're grateful for the Cherokee lands, to use the resources and honor, give honoring to the lands. We're near the Holston, southern Holston. There's a lot of water here, a lot of rivers, a lot of water in Tennessee, but it's the South Holston River. I want to talk real brief about my mother, who grew up on Standing Rock Reservation. At that time, there was a great land giveaway, and my grandfather was an immigrant from Germany. And at that time, they gave away sectors, and he was given 160 acres if he could prove up, meaning he could live on the land for 5 years. My uncles learned the languages of the native Sioux in that area. And I actually, through 23andMe, found out that I have a cousin that I never knew about, who is, should we say, Indigenous American, Indigenous German. And so we have a lot of ties there. But getting back to Tennessee, was that there is on, I think it's Amazon Prime, a 6-part series on Trail of Tears. And it tells about all how the trials of all the people that were the Cherokee that were basically kicked out of this area and sent to Oklahoma. And it's very heart-wrenching. It showed how they tried to be American and adopt the culture and wear the suits and become good capitalists And still that wasn't enough. Nothing they could do was enough. And they were left to walk, weren't given the provisions. They said there were going to be provisions and told to walk to Oklahoma. And it's a very, we watch that so that we have a deep appreciation for where we are now. And we like to tell people about that series so that they might also learn something more about the Trail of Tears and the indigenous, particularly from our area. But it's just another facet of the oppression that we brought to these people, and for which I'm humbly and grateful, and also ask forgiveness. And so thank you, I'm complete.
Thank you, Noelle. So this turning is taking place and everybody can feel it. And in the chat, I've put in part of the acknowledgement that was gifted. It's in the Dawnland credits and in the Upstander project credit. I'll put some of those links in at the end, and so that you could see that. And just because of time, if someone would be willing to share that with the Facebook page, just grab it and share it with them as well. We'll see if we have enough time to read it out loud together at the very end, because it is a beautiful acknowledgement, and it's something that everyone can do on their land, you know. So with that, I'm going to invite Grandmother Ia to introduce herself. She's from St. Croix. She is an incredible community elder inside of the Connection Field. I'll be sharing more a little bit about just a moment or two what that is, and how you can stay connected to all of us. And you know, this is really just an opening. Consider it the portals opening for us to play more and to go deeper. So with that, Grandmother Ia, we would love to hear from you. And Daniel, we will get to you.
Sometimes I don't know where to start, so good night. I am Ia Tahira, born Riverly Adams, to Gussie Mutchin and Frank Adams in Mississippi, Pocahontas, Mississippi. And the river that runs there was Mississippi River. My father named me River. And there's a long story behind that, but that tonight is not about river. Tonight is about this journey to serve in a world of elders. And so before I start, I want to acknowledge the Awak and the Taino people who lived on this land when Columbus came. And they was taken off of this land. And some of them went down into the caves to hide out and trying to warn the people of what was coming. And they left their markers so we could remember that they had walked this way. And even today, in their place of their sacred land at Columbus Landing, their sacred land is now being barred and wired, so the people who want to get in there cannot get in there. I feel humbled by all of the ancestral lineages that I carry. I can't help but my ancestors somehow knew I would walk this way again, because I carry the ancestral lineage of my enslaved Africans who came through now St. Croix, what was called the Santa Cruz, the crossing. And the Mississippi. And my grandmother, Isabella Adam, her father was Cherokee Indian. And what I just learned in the last few years, my relationship to island, to the Irish community, So I own all three ancestries I carry. I honor them in that they inform me about my place on the planet today as an elder. In 2014, my ancestors gave me a direction that I was to stand in the world as a bridger. I think they had given me that direction for a long time and I was resisting it. So I didn't get it until I ended up in this totally white community in Burma. Imagine Burma. And I asked the question, why am I standing in this all white community? Surely I'm not here to become a token, am I? And they said, no, we want you to look. And I said, I didn't want to look. You are a bridger. So I like to think that standing in this time of honoring the ancestral ways, that we honor them in a way that, from the perspective of, there was wisdom gained from where we come from, that it taught us great lessons to stand here today and to bridge this way into remembrance of who we be. The other thing that is a proverb that comes from the African cosmology that says that it comes from the word Sankopa, that we cannot know where we're going until we know where we've been, that we must return to the past. And the ancestors wasn't talking about the past, that we must return to our beginning in order to know how we forge our way forward. So was our beginning with the beginning of our atrocities? Or do we have a long legacy of incoordinating time and time again till we can remember the original order, the original blueprint, the original agreement that we all made to come to this earth and to serve? Because what I learned, that we all meet somewhere in the center. I can take the Mayan calendar and trace it back to Africa, to Egypt. I can take the Mississippi River and trace it back to Africa. So I asked myself, do we all come here in a sacred agreement, and somehow we fell asleep and forgot that sacred agreement? So I like to think that we come here to reconcile the truth, but also to honor our sacred agreement, to stand in harmony and in interrelationship with each other and with all of nature and with all of life force energy, that we learn to stand in relationship with the sacred agreement that we made. So my prayer is, oh ancestors, forgive us, forgive me if I violated those sacred agreements, and allow us to remember the sacred agreement and to embrace the wisdom that has come along to teach us to be here now, while we stand here to weave our ways back to center. That's my sacred prayer, my sacred offering for now. And so it be. I have spoken, and thank you. So it be.
Just less and less words. Thank you, Grandmother Iya. And we just get to take this into our heart tonight, don't we? So watching the time, going to invite Fairy Elaine to sing another song. Grandfather Daniel will, as he opened us, will close us. And I'll share a few more things at the very end, ways to stay connected and really weave the co-creators Convergence family and community with good of the whole and the connection field, and just keep building, just all being bridge builders. So beautiful, my sister, beloved Fairy Elaine from Sarasota, Florida, the Sarasota watershed. I'd love to hear from you.
Okay. All right. This is called a peaceful energy. As I forgive, I am forgiven. Negativity, releasing. You know what? I'm seeing myself. I can't get too distracted. Let me start over. All right. As I forgive, I am forgiven. Releasing negativity, revealing kindness that once was hidden. I find a peaceful energy. I open up to the angels' blessings. I know the end is coming soon. Keep hope alive as I'm transcending. I'll be reborn by next full moon. I'll be reborn by next full moon. You know, an ending can be a new beginning. As I forgive, I am forgiven. Releasing negativity, revealing kindness that once was hidden. I find a peaceful energy. I love you and I am so sorry. Forgive me if you please. I thank you now and I will tomorrow. I find a peaceful energy. I find a peaceful energy. As I forgive, I am forgiven. Releasing negativity, revealing kindness that once was hidden. I find a peaceful energy. I love you. I love you. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Forgive me, please. I thank you. I thank you. Ho'oponopono. As I forgive, I am forgiven. Releasing negativity, revealing kindness that once was hidden. I find a peaceful energy. I find a peaceful energy. I find a peaceful energy. And so it is. Aho.
So I'm just going to share just a little bit before Daniel closes us, because I don't want to give announcements after this closing. Tonight, I think everyone should just go and be with their own heart and feel into what's moving you and be in that peace, be in that forgiveness, and know that we're loved and adored by the field. And it always wants to uplift us as a collective whole. So for those of you who are on Facebook Live, please share your watersheds and I'll go back in and pick them up. I am going to take the comments here in the chat, and we'll be sharing in the Connection Field Digest next week this expression and who's been with us. And we honor those that haven't gotten to share tonight. I'm sorry, this is just the first time that I've done this and offered this, so it obviously got a little bit talky, but important information has been shared. So please do that and we'll pick that up. And if you're in the chat here, if you're on this call in the Zoom loving room, Put your rivershed, watershed, just whatever you want to share, and we'll pick that up as well. And if you feel nudged to participate and play a part of greater sharing and going deeper in the field with this hoop of many hoops, because what is this? This is the rainbow hoop. This is the hoops all coming together and having a place to express and share, not just your relationship to your land, but really what's behind, what's emerging for you when we're thinking about truth and reconciliation and coming to express what it's like to sit in each other's shoes. And so that does happen in the connection field on Tuesdays. And we're working out a broader based sort of developed curriculum, not a curriculum, but just like an outline for where we want to go with all of you. And also Ia on Friday offers soul talk in the connection field. And there's many beautiful sharings. The other piece is that there's a bigger understanding of how the connection field came together with Brother Phil Lane. I want to honor the Four Worlds Institute, because without him and without a shared vision with us coming together with him, this would never be. And it's grown out of a love for creating a space of Indigenous women, wisdom coming together with the evolutionary consciousness. So with that, that's enough. Just go to connectionfielddigest.org. Someone could take it and put it in Facebook. That would be great. And you can get the digest and learn more and stay updated with what we're doing. And we'll be weaving our sharing from the co-creators Convergence. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Daniel. You've got a couple of minutes to close.
Shelley, can I just say one thing? I just want to welcome everyone back. Every Thursday night, we have this call. And next week, we are having Karen Heffernan's oldest son, Patrick, will be joining us. He is a yoga instructor, a very enlightened being. And I just want to invite everyone back next week, same time, same bat station.
And in New York.
And back over to you.
Connection, Shelley, this is Bob. Connectionfielddigest.com. .org, got it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And thank you, Bob and Noelle. This has been it's such an incredible opportunity.
Beautiful evening.
It's just been
really beautiful
out there in the cosmos where I feel like I'm all floating around there. And thank you so much, Shelley. This is, take me off that pin. Don't pin me. Let's go back to gallery. There we go. It's just been such a beautiful, beautiful, you brought the heart, baby. You just broke it all open. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Wonderful evening.
Thank you to Daniel and Alba and Aya and everyone who shared and everyone who couldn't get couldn't get in.
All right, Daniel, close us up.
Thank you. And I know we don't have very much at all, but let me say this. Both Alda and I, as we share with each other, we're very, very, very deeply touched by our family tonight. And we love the fact, especially because it was in my heart saying, I hope we could get invited back. I know I could probably talk to Shelley about it, but thank you, Noelle. With that though, in respect of time, we're trying to, Indian time, it doesn't really matter. But let me say this, officially, I am Daniel Eagle Warrior Ramos, Squawkly out. I am spiritual elder and chief, one of chiefs, under my son, who's principal chief, Rashid Stone Coyote Patton of our nation, the Choctaw Muskogee Yamasee people from the four directions. And I make this declaration tonight of what it is that I've heard and been touched, not of anything else, but just the willingness, the beautiful surrendering of saying, forgive me. Forgive me. For this is the hardest part, as you all well know, as practitioners, as holy people, as medicine people, this medicine family. It's not about what we are and look like on the outside. Our ancestors always spoke about what lies within, that we are connected. And so in that, I say, I accept your requests for forgiveness, because it is it is Well, the white buffalo prophecy that it is the time to forgive the unforgivable. It will only allow us then to move forward in creating the new world and creating and mending the sacred hoop, of which we are of this small hoop, of many hoops of the sacred hoop. And with that, I am grateful. My heart's filled with whoopila, overflowing gratitude beyond the universe. And we are here and present. My story is part foster care as well, but that won't be for another time. But with that, we love you to the overflowing. We love you to life, not to death. And in that way, thank you, family, for receiving us tonight. Thank you, dear and holy sister, beautiful one, Shelley, graciously, and Grandmother Ia, always speaking with the grand sisters. Oh, Takias.
Noelle, I pass it over to you. And Fairy Elaine, I love you. Thank you for inviting me here. A funny turn of events. And Noelle, it's back to you. Love you.
Beautiful, beautiful songs, Fairy Elaine. Thank you.
You're on mute, Noelle.
Yeah. Do you have another song, Fairy Elaine? I don't really have anything to say. Our hearts are all singing so beautifully together. Can you just take us out? Sing us out. Sing me to you.
I'll do a little bit of this song that I wrote called It's a New World, because this is a new beginning, and how we're all connected. Just do a little bit of it. The chorus, if you want to sing, is it's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world. Yes, it is. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, yes it is. It's a new world, connected in heart and mind. It's a true world, in unity divine. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, yes it is. It's a new world. Intention brings us to the light. It's a true world, aligned on this full moon night. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, yes it is. It's a new world. Tap into eternal truth. It's a true world. It's a true world, knowing the absolute. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, it's a true world. It's a new world, yes it is. It's a new world, yes it is. It's a new world, yes it is. Good night.
Thank you, thank you. I'm asking you all to unmute. It's like to give it up for this beautiful, beautiful evening.
Yes. Thank you all so much.
Thank
you,
Shelley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All of you.
Thank you.
Good night.